and Knights Templars travelling to the Holy Land. And they would stop off here, and basically a trip means a stop off. And they'd stop off here and crusade. I nearly did, and I'm glad I didn't, because it wouldn't have worked tonight, because when I arrived you were already in here. But I have got a Knights Templar outfit with chainmail, the Red Cross on the one side, and I was going, and I did it once with a group of Americans about 4 years ago, and I was actually stood by the main entrance there. And a number of people that came up took photographs, you will believe it. I was doing it tonight, and I chickened out. Where's Gina gone? Oh, you're there? Yeah, I chickened out.
Why?
Well, but it's a good job I did, because when I turned up, you were all sat inside. And it would have been a total waste of time. We'd have had to drag you all outside. It would not have worked. But I was going to do that. So, yeah, so basically Crusaders came here and had a drink or whatever, a meal, what have you, before carrying on to the Crusades. And Knights Templars. I don't know, do you know what Knights Templars are? Anybody? They were known as the Poor Knights of Christ. What's this got to do with ghosts? Well, I'm filling in a bit. Look, I've got this new phrase and I don't quite know how to use it yet. I realise that I'm into the history that caused the ghost. Not the history necessarily of the ghost, but the history behind why there's a ghost. And I think that, because that's what I've always been on about, as you know, ghosts and history go together. But the whole idea is, why is there a ghost in here? And you need the history to find out why there's a ghost. Because most people that die go, don't they? Not here. You know, I mean, in here when the wind blows, is that 50,000 ghosts going past you? No, it's not. There's only, I don't know how many ghosts there are in here, not many. 2, perhaps. You know what I mean? So what about all the other people that have lived and loved and died in here? They've gone. Any idea where? Yeah. See where I'm coming from? So there's a reason why there's a ghost. And that's what I'm starting to use this as some form of slogan or something. You know, the history that caused the ghost, the history that created the ghost. And so, yeah, we know that a ghostly crusader, Knights Templar as they call them, were here. And the Knights Templars were formed when the Crusades, because this got big things to do with Richard I, who of course was, yeah, I think of all the time he was on the throne, I think he only spent about 8 months in England. The rest of the time he was fighting Muslims in the Holy Land.
Yeah, and of course, let's say like he could if he would have to fight the fire, he would sell England.
He sold Scotland. Did you know that? Richard I sold Scotland to help pay for the Crusades. And he would obviously sold England. So yeah, he sold Scotland, and obviously he was off crusading all the time. Anyway, basically, once he'd beaten a bloke called Saladin, after beheading something like 300 Muslims, he started it, we started it, not them. Would you believe? Yeah. He did come back to this country, and basically people then started, because he'd cleared the way, in other words, trashed the Muslims or what have you in Jerusalem, people started doing pilgrimages to the Holy Land. But the problem was that on the way people were being attacked by thieves and robbers and what have you, and being murdered, robbed. So these guys, mainly English, but not only English, set up this group called the Poor Knights of Christ, or Knights Templars, and they wore a white tabard with a big red cross. That's where it comes from. And they actually used to protect the pilgrims on the way to the Crusades. But what they also did was created a thing that we used to call checks. Because obviously people travelling from England all the way to Jerusalem, the chances of being robbed and attacked if you got money on you was pretty So they actually did some form of check where you actually left your money with the Knights Templars, and when you got to Jerusalem, you had a piece of paper like a check, and you handed it to them there, and then they gave you money. So they were the first. They became the world's biggest and richest bankers. They had a fleet, their own fleet. They were so powerful, Knights Templars were, that, well, they lent money to royal houses all around Europe. And their demise came when King Philip the Fair of France, who'd borrowed an awful lot of money from the Knights Templars, realised how wealthy they were, decided that he wanted them. In fact, he was a bit of a. I mean, if he dressed in a pinstripe suit with a Tommy gun, he'd have been another Al Capone. King Philip would. He was a bad lad, and he decided that he wanted all the money from the Knights Templars. So he referred to them as heretics, and said that they were urinating on the cross. They were worshipping a pagan god called Baphomet, which was half man and half goat, and they were all homosexuals. And he spread the rumours round, and I don't know, people believed it. He kidnapped the Pope, King Philip the Fair of France, kidnapped the Pope and re-established the Vatican in Marseille, in France. And then got the Pope to turn against the Knights Templars, and approximately 300 of them were burnt alive at the stake for heresy. So he pinched all their money, and that was the end of them. But they originated really from coming through this place here and stopping off on the way to Jerusalem, hence where it came from. We've done the galleon up there, but we'll do it again. There's a cursed galleon upstairs in the room up there that basically has been here for hundreds of years, because this was an inland port. The River Trent came past here, and sailors stopped off on the way, and they used to present carved galleons to the pub here. There's 2 or 3 of them hanging from the walls, and this very large one is there, upstairs, in the room upstairs, and cleaners used to come in and clean it. 3 of them died within 18 months after cleaning that galleon. So in desperation, the landlord decided that he wouldn't have it cleaned anymore, because he didn't want to lose any more cleaners. So it's a cursed galleon. They have the room that we were in upstairs eating, what's it called, the museum room. They have an awful lot of poltergeist activity in there. Glasses fly around, things happen. Staff here, when there's nobody up there, glasses smashing on the floor, and up they go with a dustpan and brush. Never find anything. Happens a lot. Cellars are haunted by an old lady that they see down in the cellar. They don't know whether it's an ex-landlady that was here. So it's got a pedigree, it's got a history, but it's not the most haunted pub I've ever been in. I'll have to be honest with you. If that's it, a haunted galleon or whatever. But that's it. Right, so we've got a belting story.